Hey, thanks for joining me once again. This is another trip down memory lane of some old comics of my own characters that I've done. The first two videos were 24-hour comics that I did. First one, I only got 10 pages in, but then I finished it on my own time later. The second one was full 24-page comic I did in 24 hours, but the stories were silly and they didn't make sense, and it was rough because, being an inexperienced artist. But then this one that we're going to look at now this was me. I decided, like, I need to draw the best that I can. I'm going to do full borders and backgrounds and and perspectives and do the best that I can do to show these characters, just to show it's like a proof of concept for myself that these characters and these designs would work. And when I was digging out those old 24-hour comics on these characters, I found all of these. So I did those first two. This is my last one where, again, this is me taking my time and trying to do as good as I could possibly do, not the rush jobs that those were. And I also found I kind of forgot, however many pages these are. I have like inked versions, but then I had photocopies of the pencils too. And in a way, I kind of like the pencils better. I don't know why. I'm trying to think of doing them both side by side, to go through the inked ones and show the story, and then we'll come back and flip through the pencils. We might do that. Maybe that's what we'll do. But again, this is my He-Man character in his tattered ass clothes. It looks like a homeless guy. Terrible design. I liked the idea that I was going on here, but I got her proportions, which got like a giant head. I kind of don't mind the design. This girl was vaguely based on an ex-girlfriend I had years ago. She was a dancer. She had thigh-high black vinyl boots with stems like this big. She might have only been 5'3", but when she put them shits on, she could look my ass dead in the eye. So I kind of designed this vaguely off of her. But I was trying to do my best inking. I was trying to do sci-fi backgrounds. She's kind of falling into his arms as they hug and they're talking, and this kind of perspective shot, tilted at an angle. I was going for it. In some ways, it kind of works. I mean, her proportions look weird, but the backgrounds kind of work. I still think his design is terrible. But anyway, the basic concept is that she is like part of the royal army at the city, and he is not part of them, but he's coming to visit because they asked for his help on site, and these two have a burgeoning relationship. So of course, they're hugging and they're together, having conversation. They're going into this other room, this other chamber, where we got a bunch of soldiers gathered. He's meeting up some guys that he knows. So I'm trying to draw multiple types of faces, and you got to do the backgrounds and all these other character designs. Man, this shit starts getting hard. It's tricky. I was getting better at inking, but it was still rough, still heavy-handed, not great. Here's the princess of the royal palace, and she's here telling him that something's going on. There's a thing that they all need to go look at. It's important. Kind of an okay. I don't know why I chose to tip it to the side like that. I don't know if there was any need for it, but it kind of gives it some gravitas, I guess. And I think her face kind of came out okay. But she's tell him about, we need you all to go look at this thing. And then a closer shot of her face. She's got some kind of like royal jewel in her forehead. I was kind of having fun with the hair, but I don't know. She's like, anyway, go investigate this, and go look into it. God be with you. So our hero and his girl, they're looking at each other. I kind of don't mind this shot. His face, her face, a close-up. He's telling her to be careful. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'll be careful. I always am. His big buddy, he's like, come on, dude, let her go. She's got her own team to go with. We got a job to do. Let's go. Let's go do our shit. I don't mind this page too much. It's all right. The thing I am not good at is drawing vehicles and designing vehicles. And the thing that's ironic is I love vehicles, especially sci-fi vehicles. You give me a Millennium Falcon or an X-Wing or a Starship Enterprise or the Defiant or the Voyager or the Serenity. I love all that shit, but I cannot design them and I cannot draw them for fucking nothing. I hate them because I can't draw them. So I was trying to come up with some like simple design, like sci-fi transports, kind of a tubular shape with these big round circles that are like hover thing. I could not come up with anything. I hated it. So that's why that panel is not finished. But anyway, we're inside it, and there's like a, you know, the guy who runs the soldiers, and we got our hero there. He's just kind of staring out a window, and I wanted to show there's 2 other transports. There's 3 of them. He's in one. His girl's in another one of these. Anyway, the leader of the guy's like, hey, we're whatever. I don't know what they're saying. They're having a conversation, and the ships fly off into the distance. Sun, clouds, ships rocketing off. You know, kind of works. Then we cut to a scene with the bad guys. And I'm kind of repeating some things that you're going to have seen in the previous book, but it's because I'm using these same characters and I'm trying to work out the details on them to make them kind of, you know, work out how these characters are going to look, talk, act, interact. What is the world like? How can I adjust this camera to make it have optimal viewing for these pages? Son of a bitch, it's so hard to get this thing right. You know, I kind of didn't mind this landscape. There's that big giant crystal sphere again that was in the last video we talked about, surrounded by a sea of rocks. You've got the bad guys, they're there at this thing, and he's the leader of the bad guys. He's trying to access it, figure it out, and his minions are just standing in the background kind of watching, like, is he getting anywhere? He's like, I don't know, but we got to hang out and just let him do what he's going to do. Meanwhile, super strong bad guy, he's looking off into the distance behind them. He's like, he's got his eye out. He's looking. He notices something. I kind of don't mind that shot of that guy's face there, or that shot of him there with their capes blowing in the wind while he's staring off into the distance. But he says, hey, someone's coming in the sky. Ship's approaching. So he jumps down, and this is the guy. He's the second in command. He's like, well, we got to protect our leader. He's trying to do a thing with this magical device. We got to set up a defense. So this is where, again, I was trying to do, you know, get a sense of space and distance. Here are those 3 ships that we saw before. They're flying in a little bit tighter formation than they probably should be if this was like a tactical mission. I kind of don't mind this back shot of his head. But he's like, oh, it's the Royal guys. We knew they were coming. We can take them out. And he's like, yes, we can. So then second in command guy's like, can you take them out from here? Can you power up? And he's like, oh, yeah, I can. Now this guy, he's got like this crystal device in his chest, and when it lights up, it kind of connects an energy arc to his eyes. I kind of like that shot, but he's basically powering up, and he uses his axe and he blasts the energy bolt, and then it's not very clear, but these are those 3 ships, and this is one of them, the middle one, and this lightning bolt thing hits it and kind of blows it up. And so the hero guy's like, holy shit, they're shooting at us. Like, evasive maneuvers. We got to get out of here. And for all he knows, his girl was on that ship. Like, who knows? And then a second shot comes rocketing, hits one, blows it up, and then it arcs a second beam as it hits that. Then it cuts over and hits the other ship. So all 3 of them are down. I showed an interior shot of the ship exploding. And then this is another one of those long distance shots where you got the bad guys that just did this shit standing there. And then in the sky, the idea being that you could see the contrails as they flew, and then a poof of, you know, explosion, and then the rubble following from the sky. You got the stuff back here for the first ship that got hit, and then the other 2 as they fall. So I tried to show a sense of multiple things having happened in a single panel, something that like you would see in the distance, you know. And then I kind of like this shot of the bad guy here with this cape, these folds in it. I think that kind of works. I think I kind of nailed it. You know, you'll have to tell me if I did or I didn't. The next panel, this long panel, is just the wreckage of the ship, and our guy's like, those are his eyes and his mouth, and he's like in a silhouette, and he's ripping himself out of it and crawling out. He's like, holy shit, because he's the super-powered guy, so of course he's the one who's going to survive. So he crawls out, and then there's this big overhead shot silhouette with like the bright sun behind them, kind of casting like the sun rays down. It's like, you survived, and I'm glad, because I want to take you out. So our hero just dives at him, like just jumps on him, starts punching him, you know, hands in faces, silhouettes, angry, screamy yelling as they're fighting. And then there is a giant explosion in the distance, poof, heavy shadows, and our hero and the bad guy are like, oh shit, what's this? And then this is a close-up of that spheroid thing. Now, if you watch my second video, you'll know that this was this rock creature. I like the concept of it, so I wanted to show it again. But it's erupting in energy. The bad guy must have done something. There he is, kind of diving out of the way. I want to draw all these rocks lifting up out of the ground, forming a body. And the bad guy's like, haha, I did it. Holy shit, I woke him up. And then there's the giant stone monster, and the guy at the ground at the base is going, ha, I did it. I woke him up. I found him. This is awesome. And he's just sitting there like cackling in this like evil bad guy pose. He's like, I did it. I got him. He's awakened. He's mind to control, and just a big shot of our hero's face after getting punched. He's bleeding, and he's kind of got a scared look on his face. And that's as far as I got. That's as far as I took it. I don't know what I was going to do with it, but I was trying to do the best that I could do at the time. And it feels okay. Like, I don't hate it. There's things about it that don't work and I would do differently, but it's kind of all right, I think. I wanted to look at the pencil versions. I guess I'll keep the inked ones on hand just in case I want to compare. But you can see where I was doing like the construction lines for the backgrounds. There's some lines back here trying to, keep the perspective. So the pencil work kind of works. I was doing clean pencils, the cleanest pencil that I'd ever done. Oh yeah, I changed out this panel. Yeah, this is why it'd be fun to do a side-by-side on some of these at least. At some point, I just decided to change up that bottom panel. I think I hated her face. I hated her hand. I didn't need the background guys, so I changed her face. I redrew it, put her arms straight down, and eliminated the guys in the background. I had a more interesting composition, but I couldn't pull it off, so I went for something simpler that looked better than the bad drawing I was going to do, if that makes any sense. So, kind of interesting. Let's keep going, looking at the pencils versus the inks. I think that the penciled version of her face looks better than what I come up with. I kind of like the pencil version. I was excited to do this page. I like these faces that I penciled. This one I liked. I kind of like the gesture of her hand on her hair. Like I feel like it was all kind of working. This was a fun page, and I feel like I kind of drew them kind of okay. Kind of came out all right. So anyway, that's that side-by-side comparison. That panel never changed. But you can see the same basic layouts, kept all that. Nothing unique there. Ooh. Oh yeah. I kept this top panel kind of lightly penciled because I knew what I was going to do, so I didn't need to detail it too much. I just kind of found the drawings in the ink. I wanted to like have a bright, shiny, reflective surface and some lines in it like I did over here. I was kind of liking the shadows. I was trying to do hands, this bottom panel, there's some differences there. Again, once you're kind of in the inking stage, if you're doing it yourself, you kind of find things that you weren't expecting. Like look at that guy, this cloak of his. I kind of extended it out farther, just a little. But I like it better on the inked version. But it still works. So I like the pencils better. I kind of like that figure of the guy. That all works. I like this pencil drawing. I had the shadow on his helmet. I decided to not do it on there. That's interesting. I still like the energy arcing and connecting to him there. So that was fun. I never did get that axe to look right. It looks wrong. It looks off. But whatever. I like how his energy is still connected, like these connecting lightning bolts from his eyes to that chest crystal thing. Hitting the ships, blowing up. All basically the same. I did a lot of ink textures in that panel. And then there's that shot of him in pencil. I still think it kind of come out kind of good. And the whole basic idea of that motion and movement, like it was all there. And then I was doing a lot of inky textures on these bottom panels. Still fun. Still there. Anyway, I wasn't sure. I mean, the effect on this light source behind him didn't come out quite the way I wanted it, but it kind of worked, I guess. I I'm not very clear with the fight scenes. I can see where Liefeld excels. His fight scenes are energetic and exciting, and I did not have that here. I don't mind the side view of the face. I kind of like that. That kind of works. Here's where the rock thing explodes. The faces, I think, look all right. I wasn't going to draw these ridiculous details on the stones. I knew I could just do it in the inking stage, so I'm not going to waste time penciling. That's the good thing when you're inking your own shit. You can like take some shortcuts when you know you can just find the drawing in the inking stage. Kind of like that. I didn't draw all those textures and designs in the rock creature. I just threw the basic design in there and then figured it out later. I must have been light boxing these. These are too clean of pencils even for me. So there must be like 2 versions of these out there, like a rough penciled and then a light box penciled version. And then the last page, bad guys cackling close up. I kind of like the face, the look of shock, like, oh God. I think the inking's okay. I was heavy-handed and kind of rough and didn't have a smooth enough flow or control on the inking tools, but I was learning. Anyway, that's it. You know, I don't know if anybody's as interested in these as I am, but I find these fun, these old comic stories, especially if you're one of these guys that's been following my He-Man fan comic and bought my books and read them. You can kind of see some of the alternate versions I was coming up with here for my own characters, and they might show up some way, sometime, somehow. I've got some vague ideas once I'm done with my He-Man comic, but I just thought I'd show these off. So that's it. That's part 3 of my own stuff that I found. I wanted to show these off just in case anybody's interested. I know everyone's more interested in the comic reviews instead of my own dumb stuff. But, you know, this is what I've got. It's what I did. So I appreciate you watching if you've got to this point. So as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.